Hello, our friends, evolutionary energy arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Guatemala has a volcano that's erupting. This volcano, Santiaguito, is one that has been active. It erupted in 2024 and 2023. So, maybe not, it's maybe not earth shattering. This one in Ethiopia, again, that at least 10 to 12,000 years it hasn't erupted, and that was a big one. Oh, we talked about that one. And literally, the ash ended up deposited in many other countries. When you look to what's currently erupting, 40 or more volcanoes erupting is a lot. This is very, very active. And I feel like we haven't seen anything yet, but we may see something really notable pretty soon. That's just what my hunch is.
Well, when we look to Earth and look what's going on on the planet, that's a reflection of what's going on with us too. And worldwide, this is a really big thing that's going on. What is it going to lead to? Is it going to lead to more more chaos? Is it going to lead to, a great big thing happening? I don't know, but I think it's definitely something we need to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and my eyes would open wide if we have something go in the Pacific Northwest, like, say, a Rainier or Mount St. Helens, or, maybe one of the other ones. Meanwhile, New Jersey counties are under a state of emergency as Northeaster is bringing heavy snow to the U.S. It is winter, guys. Well, it's not quite technically yet, but it does feel like it. I mean, I was out there today and it was like 34 degrees. And wow, we don't usually get that cold here. Our climate's not too far off of northern Florida. But, it's a changing world. It's a changing environment. And we have Asteroid 2025, WE14. It flew by Earth at 0.07 of a lunar distance. The lunar distance from the moon to the Earth. Again, it was interesting. I think it was a couple of years ago they came out with the revelation that the moon is technically in our atmosphere. I thought that was a big, big revelation and disclosure, so to speak.
It's not fair. How many kids got a red check mark on that test?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, again, the history is always being revised. Science is always being revised. This is a close one. So, yeah, very, very notable. Absolutely notable. But it was only 11 to 25 feet across, so definitely not an extinction level event if it did hit. By no means. However, deadly landslide submerges boats. This is at Paria port. This is in Peru. There's been just so many landslides lately. Oh, man, we send our prayers and best wishes to everybody involved in this. 2 passenger boats hit. It did cost at least 12 lives. That's really sad. Again, Peru, a beautiful place with so many secrets. South Africa looks like Siberia overnight. Look at all that snow. Now, make note of the fact that it's December 2nd as we do this, and South Africa is in the southern hemisphere, so it's actually summer there.
Yeah, that looks messy.
Hey, Al Gore, how's that melting pole thing doing for you? I know it sold some books, but what can you say?
Well, he's got a nice mansion. It worked well for him.
It worked well for him. Yeah, absolutely. It did work well for him. Cyclone Senyar. It was a very unusual cyclone for where it formed, and it was the second costliest Indian Ocean cyclone in history, as the storm's combined casualty toll in Indonesia, Thailand, and Malaysia exceeds 1,000. Again, prayers and best intentions over to everybody dealing with this. There's so many things to deal with. This was the Peru one. Okay, and then we go to Marco Rubio. Early odds on who's going to run in 2028 have Marco Rubio as maybe the third most likely or fourth most likely person to run. Of course, the VP, and then maybe Don Jr. is another person that they're mentioning, but they're also mentioning little Marco, as 47 used to call him when he was 45. Well, the 70 seconds, so 7 plus 2 is 9, so that's completion. Secretary of State Marco Rubio believes extraterrestrial technology was recovered and subsequently provided to private contractors within legacy reverse engineering programs. This is somebody that is at the top of our government, and here you go. We've gotten disclosure, and then Joe Rogan. Everybody knows Joe Rogan, right? So he dropped a few, actually, mind-blowing bombs on Jesse Michelle's podcast. He claims there's a 40-foot metallic UFO buried under the pyramids there in the Giza Plateau. I'm sure he has some insider info.
I don't know. I mean, could there also be some other things? I think 40 foot is probably small considering what I see under there.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cindy has remote viewed it. And there's a lot under there.
A lot.
Yes, maybe we should do an update on that. This one, I just had to share it. There's nothing official. The only thing I saw officially was that there was a train that had problems, had to get towed, and then people had to get on another train. And it's an Amtrak train going from St. Louis to Chicago. It vanished with 253 people on board. Wait a minute, vanished? They lost a train? What the heck do you mean they lost a train?
It was at 8 a.m. Make it to Chicago, they said. That's a little, and they don't even know, like they lost communication with the train. That's some scary.
Batman
lost communications with a train? I mean, airplane, yeah. Lost communications with a train? This has people buzzing. Now, I don't see anything too official other than, the train that left St. Louis headed to Chicago yesterday was reportedly lost, according to an Amtrak worker. It was very delayed due to a derailment, and one of the other trains had to pull it to Willow Springs, Illinois, where all of the passengers had to get off, take buses to their destination. And the only reason really we share this, besides the fact that it's curious, is Cindy picks up on something odd.
Well, I do. I really, really do. I'm watching this and I'm feeling things and I'm poking around in that energy. And, I don't think this is the last we're going to hear about this. There was something done. There was something that probably, as controllers wouldn't want us to know what was done. I'm kind of scared to say anything, but something happens. I feel it.
Why am I getting the feeling like there's a Mission Impossible scenario that transpired, and it was something like one of those type of movies, and they had to get, like, there was a big bomb or something. I'm not saying there was, but it just has that feeling like there was something that they're not going to tell you that happened.
Well, I feel it. Mike feels it. I'm sure a lot of other people feel, okay, this is not right. It's not lining up. And sure, there might be a little cover story saying, oh, well, we took care of it, blah, 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 blah. But isn't that always what they say? This is just not the last time we're going to hear about this.
No, the forces of chaos or something was at play here, and you had Ethan Hawke, or maybe you had James Bond or somebody of that ilk that went and saved the day. I don't know. It's curious, very curious. By the way, over here, this Mr. Michael Bradbury, otherwise known as MBB, Italy just witnessed, again, a massive red ring in the sky matching donut-shaped rings showing up on radar. Curious. Perfect circle, instant flash, and then gone. There's lots of weird things going on. Oh, man, so many announcements from 47. This is in the Invest America Act. It creates a tax advantage savings account for every child born between 25 and 28, starting with a $1,000 government seed. Families can add to it over time, and the funds grow through long-term investing. It's designed to give the next generation a financial foundation from day one. Also, he was mentioning, again, not the first time he mentioned, that he expects the income tax to be abolished soon. It would be the single greatest economic move in American history. Can you imagine actually taking home 100% of your paycheck? Oh, yeah. I think that would really pick up people's feelings. You know, pick up the emotional side of things. As I was paying taxes today locally, I had a discussion with an old guy, and I'm an old guy too, but I came out and he looks at me, he shakes his head, he says, nobody ever walks out that door with a smile on their face. I said, no. I said, it's totally illegal what they do, it's extortion. He's like, I know. And I just threw it out there. I said, maybe Trump will eliminate it. And he was like, well, I'm not going to hold my breath. Yeah, I mean, again, we hope for positive change. We do have some signs of positive change, but we look at everything very suspiciously. Like, how much money has your family actually made in investments since you regained office? A ton. Yeah, at the same time, you could say, well, what if you had a Kamala, term right after the Biden fiasco with the auto pen? There's a lot to talk about with the auto pen, too. All those pardons and stuff might be abolished. Also, just to touch on a couple other key things, Venezuela is still on the table as far as the potential for war there. And then he even said, he made reference that, not necessarily just Venezuela, if other countries, were harboring cartel, etc., or cartel were using other countries, he might, aim the sights over in their direction, let me say. So there's a lot going on when it comes to all the geopolitical.
There is. Go back a minute. I have something to say about that because I'm bittersweet. I'm very cynical, but I'm very hopeful. But I can just turn right around and just squash my own hopes pretty quick. But I'm looking at this and okay, yeah, it would be wonderful to have that abolished. Wouldn't it be great? But then I look at the system that we live in. Isn't it just like whack-a-mole though? I mean, they're gonna abolish this, but then they're gonna nail us with something else, and that's what makes me frustrated, sad, angry. And then even if we do bring home 100% of our check, how many companies are gonna lower our pay?
Well, and then you have the value-added tax, a consumption tax, which has been talked about with rates anywhere from 12 to 30%. So can you imagine like going to buy a $50,000 vehicle and you have regular sales tax and then you have consumption tax that might put, another $7,500 on top of the sales tax. And, some places, again, when you're, and this is not the case in every state, but sometimes you'll get state sales tax and then additional county taxes. And that's really twisted, but it's really true because we had it here where like in our little town it has 1,800 people and we live 15 minutes outside of that. There's the sales tax is one thing, which is lower, but then when we go into the big town, which has like 25,000 people, the sales tax is much higher. Like if you were to go buy a vehicle, we would have to pretty much go into the big town, which would have a much bigger, sales tax burden. So one of the things that hit me when I was in Ohio was they had like school taxes too in your district. I don't have any kids going to school, but you still pay for that. Again, it's just insane what goes on in this world and we accept it.
Well, it is insane. And then you pay taxes for your children to go to school and get a good education. But look, the IQ is dropping. The education is bad. When we look to everything, it's so upside down. So you go to school to learn, but your IQ is going down. You go to a courtroom to get justice, but it's corrupt. It's all just so wrong.
And it's something that can bite me in my butt a lot. I just can't keep my mouth shut. Cindy could tell you, when a doctor is saying something and I don't agree, I go right at him. And, that's just my nature. I just never just take what is given to me without sharing, some of my mind. So, it's the same thing in the tax situation. I would have no problem going into town hall and giving them hell. That's just me.
Well, I mean, if things were fair, I guess we'd probably all our blood pressure would be down a little bit more. But things are not fair, and guess who's going to suffer? Our children. Our children are going to suffer. So it's just not. And those other people who are so innocent that are just kind of trodden through life, and they don't even have time to look up. Yet they're paying all this money everywhere, and they're being taken advantage of. That's what we're trying to do here. I guess just shine a light on the corruption and give good people a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. Over 1.5 million bags of shredded cheese recalled for potential metal contamination, metal pieces inside cheese. This is a big one. They reclassified the recall's risk level to class 1 to signify that it may cause temporary or medically reversible adverse health consequences. These products came in 5 different varieties, sold under dozens of brand names at Target, Walmart, Aldi, and other major retailers. Here you go. These are some of them. Always Save shredded low moisture part skim mozzarella cheese. Borden shredded low moisture part skim mozzarella cheese. Borden thick cut, same thing. Brookshire's finely shredded, low moisture part skim mozzarella cheese. So now it's the same cheese. Under Brookshire's name, under Borden's, and Always Save, it's all the same cheese. It's other names too: Chestnut Hill, Cache Valley Creamery, Coburn Farms, Econo Shredded, Food Club finely shredded, Gold Rush Creamery, Good and Gather, Great Lakes Cheese, Happy Farms Cheese by Aldi, H-E-B, Hill Country, Know and Love. So there's a lot of them. Laura Lynn, Lucerne. Yeah, I think there's been times. Now, I never buy cheese unless it's organic, non-GMO. And there's reasons. Oh, wow. Sprouts. I used to love going to Sprouts when I was living in Florida. Sunnyside Farms. And, I'll give you guys the link so you can see. There's a lot of them here.
Let's not forget, just yesterday we were bringing up the milk that accidentally had cleaner in it,
right.
And then today it's the cheese. Are they coming after our dairy and our food, or are they coming after the dairy and the food? I don't know. I would let other people decide. I'm just a conspiracy theorist here. But it does seem to be like a trend, and things that, there's dots being connected, and things just kind of sort of keep happening. And what happened here? Was somebody walking along with a bucket of metal shavings and tripped and they fell in the thing? Come on.
Yeah, you never know. Did you know cellulose is used as an anti-caking agent in shredded cheese? Indigestible fiber, often derived from wood, cotton, other plants. So this is why this person grates their own. I always look at the label. And if I see, just basically, milk, again, just the simplest of ingredients, good. If I see, anti-caking agents, then I avoid it, and we just don't get it.
Can you please go back for just a moment? I just wanted to ask you a question for people who don't normally do all the shopping and they haven't really dug deep and they don't quite understand, but could you explain the cellulose anti-caking agent? Like, why is it so horrible?
Well, again, it depends on what they're using. So, if you're talking about indigestible fiber, you need that in your system to flush things out, to go ahead and sweep the intestines and help to remove toxins. So fiber in itself is very, very good. It's just the types of fiber that they use sometimes with different manufacturers that can raise some questions and red flags. Again, literally coming from wood pulp. Well, where's that wood pulp coming from? Were there any chemicals involved? What's the processing like? This is one of the things to note. And, Again, I went down the ice cream aisle and thinking, oh my God, I'd love to bring some ice cream home because we haven't had some in, I don't know, 6 months to a year. And when I looked, I couldn't find any ice cream that is worth it. Now, we'll go into the bigger town maybe later on this week or next week, and they'll have some good organic options where there's only like 3 or 4 ingredients. But, locally, we didn't have that here. And, you got to ask, why are they putting guar gum in there? Why are they putting carrageenan in there? Carrageenan, you never used to find that in ice cream, and now you do. And it's been, again, question marks about that and cancer have come up.
Yeah, just question marks because we're not doctors. We don't really know too much about that stuff because we're not doctors. We just, have. Yeah, we're just a little bit different. We look at things differently. But I'm just want to say with these agents, these weird agents, if they are big companies and they're looking to, cut dollars wherever they can, that the anti-caking agents and stuff they put in there, it's going to be pretty bottom of the barrel. And gosh, I don't want to know what that looks like.
And, this quote is that 90% of U.S. cheese is fake. Well, American cheese itself is fake. I mean,
Velveeta.
Yeah, Velveeta. Oh, my God.
What does it say? It has cheese product or something?
Well, here's the thing. 90% of cheeses, and I did see this study, contains something called FPC, which is a genetically modified version of animal rennet made by P.F. Iser Company. Rennet. Yeah, it's a starter culture. It's what makes cheese cure. So when you realize this is something that's put together in a lab, 90%. So you're not going to get this substance if you buy organic. So this is another reason to buy organic. And again, I do tend to steer towards the smaller companies usually. So when you look to cheese can't be very healthy. Again, if you have certain issues, then it might not be healthy for you. Each one of us is unique. But when you look to some cheeses, like they're talking about Pecorino Romano here, very high in CLA, which is conjugated linoleic acid, which definitely can help with a lot of things from weight loss to diabetes, cancer, inflammation. It's been found to keep fat cells smaller. And, I used to take CLA separately in the past when I was really trying to get ultra lean, and I did feel like it helped. Preserve muscle tissue, inhibit cancer growth, boost the immune system. So, there's a lot of good, healthy cheeses out there. Again, if you have lactose intolerance or, some other issues, maybe not for you. Again, a lot can depend on blood type, but I do feel we're going into an all new era when it comes to everything, because we're out of the dark Kali Yuga and we're into the Bronze Age. We are really changing. Our bodies are changing.
Well, my daughter thought that she couldn't eat any kind of dairy. She thought she was doomed until one day she was able to get a hold of some raw cow's milk, and by golly, it's just fine. Organic, mind you. Same with cheese, same with everything. She can eat all the things now, but for a long time, she just... We were not into the understanding of what we know now, so we didn't know at the time to go organic. But when we did figure it out, she tried the organic, and by golly, she can eat it all. That's wonderful.
And she's a good girl, and she's doing her best, and she's raising her kids as best as she can. And she does listen to her mom very well. I'll tell you that. I'm very proud of her. So here you go. A man with dementia forgot his own daughter's birthday. Quit golf forever. The mini mental score 21 out of 30, which is severe impairment. Dr. Sabine Hazan did something unthinkable. She transplanted his wife's poop microbiome into him. Oh, well, this is a different idea. No, actually, I've heard this a lot. Yeah. Within weeks, He suddenly remembered his birthday. He went back to golf. He started recognizing family photos again. First published case in medical history showing rapid reversal of cognitive decline after fecal microbiota transplantation. The pioneer of this is Dr. Thomas Barodi, who started this back in the 80s. Chemist does a really good job in covering these types of things. Your microbiome, you cannot stress how important that is. And if we're taking in all these not organic items, often with harsh chemicals, they have a very, very negative impact on our microbiome. If we're just eating that junk food from those aisles that we shouldn't even walk down, like this aisle, you're just destroying your microbiome because you're also feeding everything bad in your body. Simple sugar, I think, should be viewed as like crack, as like the worst toxin you can imagine, because simple sugar is a very, very toxic substance. Yes, sorry about that. That brings about inflammation, and again, it's a snowball effect. Why are so many people obese? The vast majority of people are overweight in the United States, for instance. Why is there so much diabetes? Why is there so much dementia? And there's many, many different reasons, but so much of it really is what we put in our mouth. It's just that simple.
And look how innocent this looks. I mean, like honey buns and all the pictures are so cute, and snowballs, and all the names are cute. Twinkies, ding dongs. I mean, it's just joyful. It's happy. It's at child's reach, so they can just, Mommy, can I please? It's so innocent, but the destruction is incredible.
Very real. And I'll be the first to admit, like when I was 8 to 10, I did eat these Swiss rolls. That was a favorite. But, shoot, I don't think I've had any of this stuff since I was, I want to say 12. I really, haven't. It took a while to, get into a good groove. The lizards are out for us, and sometimes they're out for our best friends too. And, don't doubt that sometimes these guys can rise up and look pretty scary.
Oh my gosh, and this is just a lot of fun. I kind of think that they're both just having a really good time. But yeah, that would be scary if he just got up and started running on his back too and just charging after you with his dragon breath there.
Can you imagine a 10-foot tall version of that?
Oh my goodness sake, we know they're out there, and they're the ones who are kind of in charge in many ways.
Yeah, you wonder how and why people lived in those cliff dwellings in New Mexico, Colorado, Arizona, and stuff. They might have been trying to avoid something that looked like that, but was a lot bigger.
Yeah, they just didn't want to get eaten, I guess.
Just saying. As always, guys, thank you for your support. Come join us on Patreon. Again, YouTube memberships. There are exclusives that go up typically on a weekly basis, sometimes more often, sometimes a little less. But again, we really appreciate you guys. Please do leave your comments, leave your thoughts. Also, share with us, what do you want us to do more of? What do you want us to cover more? What really are you interested in, and what gets you motivated? We would love to know. As always, source bless and namaste.
Namaste.